Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
I like the comment that Eli makes, best known is better than best. And to me, doing some sort of deal like this, where it's the managers and brokers that are promoting you, that makes you best known within the company.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magro.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software platform. It's designed to help you manage your day-to-day real estate media business, and ultimately, we want to help you grow. Welcome back to another week. If you're a returning viewer or listener, if this is your first time, listening for the first time on Christmas Eve, we welcome you. Glad to have you with me each and every week. Of course, Spiro founder and owner and co-host of the podcast, Mr. Todd Kivimaki. Welcome back, Todd.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's great to be here. What a fun time of the year. Craig, I just so appreciate that you are in full uniform and festivities. If you're listening to this, it is worth watching this on YouTube. Craig actually has Christmas lights tattooed all over his forehead. So Craig, it's phenomenal that you just have this passion and this fun for Christmas. I love it.
Might be a little false advertising there, but there are some Christmas lights involved. And if you look at the background, I broke branding protocol. I had to go with the green and red for Christmas this week. So
I love it.
I'm all in.
I love it.
You know, my wife accuses me of being a Grinch because I won't listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving. But I said, I'm not the Grinch. I love Christmas in its proper time. So.
Okay. When do you put your tree up?
The day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair. When do you take it down?
Whenever we get to it.
Okay.
Whenever we get to it. All right. Well, let's dive into things. We have another special guest this week, featuring the many of the speakers from the Rep 2025 conference. We'll introduce him in just a little bit. He's not a stranger to the podcast. We're excited to have him on. But before we do that, Todd, what's going on with Spiro?
Yeah, so the guest is one of my favorite people in the world, so I'll make it quick here so that we can get to him. But updates that have just come out and are live in your system are CRM functions, okay? So this is us giving you tools so that you can take time and take actions that actually impact your business. That's our goal. We want you to grow your business. We have done that at WOW through knowing our activities, knowing what we do, setting follow-up activities, some really great things. So that is all live in your system. We're going to have a ton of training that's coming out, or that's already out, that you will have access to. So please steal what we do at WOW, how we do it, and then just go and use those tools and you'll see that your business grows. Also, you would have just gotten updates that allow you to customize and give a nice fresh look to your agent login page. You can add your Google reviews in there if you want to do that. You can customize the page. And also your agents, if your agents want to set a password, they can do that now. So they can use a PIN code if they like that. But if they just want a password, they have that option and they can set that password. So a few more updates, but those are the two big ones. We're going to continue to pour into CRM functions and give you those tools that you can grow your business.
Excellent. It's always moving forward. Thank you for to those of you that use Spiro and make the suggestions that you do. If they do have like a feature request, Todd, real quick, what's a way they can get that submitted to Spiro for consideration for
yes, just
updates?
write them down on a piece of paper, preferably like a college ruled piece of paper, and then send that to the North Pole. Santa takes care of those for us, and then he actually organizes them. I think he uses AI, but he gives us a nice spreadsheet and he sends them back to us.
Nice.
Upper right-hand corner of Spiro. There's a link up there for our feature base. Go ahead and click that, and you will be able to give us suggestions and see what other people suggested and upvote those.
Thank you for the follow-up, because I had no idea how to follow that first suggestion. You can tell it's Christmas time. We're a little loose and loopy here, but It's going to be a
What's
good
in your
podcast.
eggnog, Craig? What's in your eggnog today?
It was just straight eggnog. That was last night. It was just
okay.
a little bit,
Okay.
just a little.
Okay.
But
Do you drink out of the moose cup?
I don't have a moose cup.
Okay.
I don't. What cup was it? It wasn't my Darth Vader mug. Yeah. Anyway, all right. We need to get back on track here, Todd.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Special guest, but no stranger to the podcast, speaker at the REP conference, owner of the Real Estateographers, which I have mastered how to say that company name. Very proud of myself. Todd, you want to do further introduction?
Yeah, our friend Scott Golmic. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Man, thanks so much for having us. It is so good to be on the podcast with you guys. And Craig, I got to be on the podcast last year. I think you had the same shirt. Is this becoming some sort of tradition? I love it.
It must be. And you have a really good memory. I didn't remember that I was wearing this last time.
I think, Scott, you remembered it because you recorded. I think you were traveling at the time and you recorded in a room that didn't have heat.
That's right.
Because it was cold. Yeah, so
that's right.
Remember that frozen tundra. You're right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but I had to go full out, get the t-shirt tux here and the Christmas tux and change the lights in the background. I'm all in.
I want to chime in on the Christmas tree conversation. Ours goes up the day after Halloween. It's very early. Used to not be a big deal. However, our son is going to be turning 2 tomorrow. Christmas morning, he was born 2 years ago. So we get started early with our Christmas celebrations and we still have some time to figure it out. But if you have any suggestions, how do you celebrate Christmas and a birthday? So he's 2. We'll figure it out in time. But ours goes up the day after Halloween and then we're in full Christmas mode.
Wow.
I love that.
And you don't burn out on Christmas doing it that early?
The tree comes down the next day.
Okay.
We're all wrapped up. Yeah.
I knew there had to be a catch there somewhere. Awesome. Well, Scott, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Man, you guys are the best. Excited to be on with you.
All right.
Scott, every year at REP conference, you somehow find a way to outdo yourself with just the knowledge and the insight that you bring. And this year was no different. You had talked about just what you had done in your business. I think your superpower, beyond being able to connect with people and, just your spirit and how just pure and happy it is and kind. I think your superpower is that you actually just go and do things. Like you're just, okay, that's what we need to do. And that's what we're going to do. Eli Jones will tell a story of you as that you were at a mastermind and you were still doing a good amount of shooting, I believe, or some shooting. And Eli suggested that you should not shoot anymore and pass that to your photographers. And literally, y'all, Scott literally went in, marked himself as unavailable, took himself off. And he's like, okay, if that's what I need to do, then that's what I'm going to do. And sometimes things like that terrify me. Where does that skill come from, Scott?
Man, I remember that day very well. And yeah, that night, it was in Nashville. That night I went into the hotel, logged on to Spiro, removed myself so that no more shooting. And for a while, it was kind of like the emergency backup VIP fill-in shooter, but nobody was scheduling me. And that changed everything. So I don't know. For me, it just doesn't make sense to wait. Like if it's a good idea, let's go as fast as possible. And so, whenever I was going through the coaching program, my mindset was if Eli or one of the coaches is giving me a suggestion, I'm going as fast as I can because I have a limited time with them. So let's do it. And to me, it just doesn't make too much sense to really hem and haw. I would much rather make a decision and ideally it's right. And if it's not, we pivot quickly and make another decision instead of just waiting to make a decision. So I don't know where it came from, but I think that's very much just part of who I am is like, okay, that's the best thing right now that has risen to the top of priorities. Let's go and accomplish it as fast as possible.
Gotta love decisiveness. That's an efficient way to do business. That's just smart.
It is.
It's helped out along the way. It's always a challenge to try and figure out what's the next thing, the next right thing. But I think it just becomes apparent and you just have it on the list and tackle it.
Todd, the phrase paralysis by analysis just came to mind. So good to not overthink things and just get a plan of action and go. That's awesome, Scott.
Yeah. As business owners, I think sometimes, at least for me, the way it was is I grew the business and the business became my baby and I was very protective of it. And I was at times not really wanting feedback as to what some negative things were because it hurt and was too slow to move on items that needed to change or felt like they should change. And I think it was either Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson who said, or maybe not, neither of them. I've said this before, and Dave Burley's going to post who said this, but the best answer is the correct answer. The next best answer is the wrong. The worst answer is no answer because there's just no movement. At least with a correct or an incorrect answer, you are moving in a direction and then you can pivot like Scott said. So I love your ability to do that, Scott, and just go and do these things and just measure it and pivot and measure it again and grow. So it's been incredible to see your journey over the years.
I appreciate that very much. Just to talk about the rep speech for a second, boy, is it so challenging to get tasked with standing in front of 400 peers. In what way could I possibly provide value? Because there are people there that are just starting, and there's people there that have been doing this for years, decades, that are way ahead. So what could you possibly say for a half hour that could provide value to a whole audience? And man, it's a challenge, and I love that challenge, and just like thrilled and honored to have gotten the opportunity to speak both times. And where I landed was, the only thing I can share is what's going on in my business, and I'm a very practical person. I like receiving practical information, and so that was the intention, just to be as practical as possible. And maybe one thing sticks for somebody, but maybe somebody, something stuck for everybody in that room. So, but it's quite a thing. You get up on that stage, there's a lot of seats in that room.
It was a much bigger room this year. Yes, it was a huge room.
It really
There
was.
was one moment that I was just like, my jaw dropped. For those that were listening online, my jaw dropped. It was when Kiva Magic came out and got a ping pong ball on his nose. I thought for sure this joke's just not going to land. It's going to hit your nose and fall off. It stuck. And I was just like, not expecting that. That was unbelievable.
Oh, Scott, I trained many years. It was good to be home in Vegas, where magicians are. No, I'm just kidding. I did. It was a teenage thing for me, y'all. I actually really liked magic. I did a lot of magic shows to make money. And I am glad that ping pong ball stuck too.
Yeah, incredible.
Todd, we need to have you do that trick sometime here on the podcast. We can have somebody man the camera, and I think we want to see that.
Let's get back to our guest, y'all, today.
Right.
So Scott, you talked about the word practical, and I love that with practical. Do you want to walk us through, because I'm sure you've received a ton of feedback and people like asking you follow-up questions. And if you missed it, I believe Eli just sent out your segment in his newsletter. So Scott's speech is circulating in the interwebs, but what resonated? What did you find with? Give us some of those practical, just insight, those nuggets of gold that you learned over the past year of being in business.
Yeah. So one of them was the idea of approaching some sort of preferred partnership with a brokerage. And this came from Rep 2 years ago. Just the thought, I couldn't wrap my head around, like, wow, you're almost like the brokerage is only promoting you. And what a best case scenario to have agents, bosses saying, we recommend you use the real estateographers. Like, how can I do that? And so had listened to a lot of your information and loved it. I wanted to create something that might work with a lot of brokerages. And so something that I shared that I like for me was just asking for feedback. So I put together a proposal for one brokerage, and I asked some contacts that I had at other brokerages, like, hey, I'm putting this thing together. We're about to take the next step in our business, truly just looking for some feedback. Would you be willing to look at this? And they said, yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no sales pitch. In my heart here is like, yeah, I do want some feedback. And so they look at it, and the two that I approached both said, hey, we're actually interested. This looks really good. We're interested in this. And all of a sudden it became their idea. And so that's the way that we kind of got this started. It worked out really well. And so it's not a paid situation. I mean, that's best case scenario. So for anyone listening, if you can figure out how to mold some sort of brokerage deal where the broker is allocating funds for agents to use on their listings, like, my goodness, that is the home run and what you should be pursuing. This might be another option in case brokerages are not going to do that. So we put together something that I wanted to lead with value. So there's some things in there. I don't think it's too much of a reach for me and for us. So we do some like discounted services. We put like an initial credit on there for some agents. We did some headshots and some other things that all of a sudden they're looking like, wow, this sounds really good. And it doesn't cost them anything. So that it almost gets to a point that they would feel silly to say no. And so that's the way that it kind of happened for me. The results have been really cool. This happened in August and September. Our market share has gone up significantly this year because of that. And we've had access to agents that we wouldn't have otherwise had access to on Instagram. And now whenever I want to go do a brokerage presentation, it's not like randomly calling a brokerage office like, hey, is there any availability? They're like, oh yeah, Scott, come Tuesday. And it's like the wall has come down, and the ability to go in and share 5 minutes on a recent update that provides more value. It's been incredible just to help get our name out there. So that was something that was really practical this year, obviously inspired by everything that you've taught. And it's just cool to have some of those now to look at. Again, I don't know that it's perfect, but it worked for us. And I've heard you say this, Todd, something about like, this is the best next draft or something, the best next draft of this version. Like, okay, this was my starting point, but we've started. So from here, we can refine. Maybe I did give too much, maybe whatever. We can refine along the way, but we've started, and we've gotten in front of way more agents than I could have without it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I love hearing that. Scott, something you said about the brokerage meetings, you've built that relationship and the walls came down, where when you ask for that opportunity to present, they don't even blink twice. It's an easy ask, and it's an easy acceptance on their end of, yeah, we want you in here. We want you providing value to our team. Yeah. So kudos to you for working through that wall and keep pushing. That's awesome.
Yeah. There was something too, I feel like a lot of brokerage presentations, if you don't have this relationship in place, you're a vendor. But I really think what has happened is we're now a partner. And so like that transition has happened where all of a sudden they're like, yeah, come on in, partner, come join our sales meeting. And it's not this big to do. And I get to spend a minute reminding them about everything that's available to them. And then I'll spend 4 minutes telling them about the new whatever. And they're all like, hey, this is great. And all of a sudden I'm in front of them again. So that's been cool. There were a couple phrases that I got to share that really worked with the brokerages. So I don't know, I'd love your feedback on these, but saying things like, man, we want to be an in-house media team without you incurring the cost of having an in-house media team. All of a sudden they're like, wow, that's a lot of value and no cost. Like, that sounds great. We want to help your agent save money without you having to spend a dime. Again, it's like, wow, that sounds really good. Or like, we want agents to think that we're on staff because we're so deeply entrenched and integrated into your culture. And so those were just some of those phrases that I had used and have seemed to really work. And so I didn't feel like we were ready to pursue something like this for a while. I wanted to make sure that we had teams and systems in place to fulfill it. And right now I'm not really pursuing any others. But as we continue to build, then yes, I would go out and try and replicate something like this. First, seeing if they would pay for the media, but if not, then doing something like this.
Yeah, what a great just door in. And I think it just goes back to, Craig, we've talked about this a lot. It's somewhat a theme of the podcast is if you serve your clients, everything will work out in the end. And if you serve everyone, I think everything will work out in the end. Not everyone's going to say yes. Right. Like, you have to give sometimes and not expect to get something back. But the idea of, if we put ourselves in the broker's shoes, like, the broker is there to provide value to the agents. Remember, agents are subcontractors, so they are not employees. They don't have to do what the broker says. And we all know that they shop everywhere, and every other broker is trying to get agents to come leave their current brokerage and come to their brokerage. So it's really just a features and benefits list of the brokerage as to this is what we'll do for you. Now, Scott, I want to make sure I understand this correct. So you started off, because this is one thing that I get asked a lot about, like, okay, so when do I ask for the broker? How do I get to the broker? And this is so genius of what you did, but you started off by just asking for feedback, asking for help. I think that's so smart, because generally if you ask for help and feedback, people are willing to say yes. Can you walk us through maybe a little bit more of just what that looked like, what that process, like if someone out there is sitting there like, hey, I might have some brokers that are close to me, or I know of some, what do they do now?
Yeah, great question. And to clarify, I don't think that this is the right setup for every brokerage or even a boutique brokerage. Like for me, these are some pretty big players in the area that it makes sense on some sort of volume discount and the things that we're giving, because there's tremendous upside for us. So this isn't the 3-man team that we're already working with that I'm giving away stuff. So that's kind of one thing to clarify. So certainly had some relationships with some brokers, and it did start out with, man, I just feel like we're ready to take the next step in business. I have some ideas. Could I take you out to coffee? I just want to run some ideas by you. There was no sales pitch to this first broker. It was literally like, can you help me formulate this? This is some of the stuff that I'm thinking. And so as I'm in there sharing with him, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, that's helpful. Now, you don't really need that, but here's something that you could do. And so all of a sudden I'm making a list on what he thinks, and I'm not really pitching him. I am asking for feedback. So I take also, man, that's fantastic. He said, you know what? I want you to pitch us. This is great. So I ended up pitching him. He ends up never responding. That's okay. Because I got to use this in this process and say, I am building this for broker A. Would you mind taking a look at that? So I used that meeting to build what I was sending to other people and to get their feedback. Yeah, that wall came down and they're like, wow, this looks really good. And that's kind of how it started. So it truly was never a sales pitch. It was just like, here's what I'm thinking. Help me work through this. What other value adds would there be for a company like yours? And then literally build out the list without it being specific to him and used it for others.
It's so smart.
It is. Todd, though, there's a question kind of bugging me in the back of my mind. And Scott, maybe you can address this. So head brokers, lead brokers, whatever term you want to use, their time is very, very limited. When you ask for a meeting like that, where you're asking for their help and their input, what is in it for them that they'd be willing to give up that limited time that they have? Did you have that fear of they're going to say no because they're not getting anything out of it?
It's a great question. And thank you so much for helping me bring clarity to this. The first one was a coffee where we sat down, ended up being a meeting, and it was fine. And got on his schedule, he canceled, whatever. And I said, 20 minutes. It ended up being 30, but like knowing that he doesn't have a ton of time. From there, I built this thing out, and then I recorded a loom. And so, Todd, I'm actually building something for another brokerage in the area. I just want to see if you do it here. Let me review what I've kind of built out here. Do you have any feedback for me? Anything that I can adjust? So it was just a loom recording that I sent. They could watch on their own time. And by all means, if you'd ever, or if you have any feedback, if it's easier to do a call or you want to meet up, let me know. Then it was like an email. Hey, we're interested. Okay, hop on the phone, and kind of thing. So it wasn't a big ask from them. I was asking them to watch a 5-minute loom video that was like power packed, not overwhelming, but it had all the details in there so they could watch and then say, let's talk more about it. So that was kind of our way in without asking for a meeting from every broker.
That's genius.
And the thing it had, Scott, which is just so smart, is it had this underlying message of like, hey, can you give me some feedback on this incredible tool that I'm going to give your competition? And
I didn't even think about that.
That is so smart to put in there, because remember how much, okay, so in any business, and let's break down a real estate company, what do they basically have to negotiate over? What features and benefits? Okay, so the big one is the split of commission. Then the next one is, do you have an office? Are you supplied an office? Maybe some marketing tools. Maybe you have, someone like a title assistant, or you have in-house people. You have media companies. So there's not that really many variables. And the biggest one is the split. And that is where a traditional brokerage, they try to bring more value because the splits are typically higher, which means they keep more money. And so they're always looking for ways that they can bring more value, and they don't want their competition to get it. So I think it's incredible. I see a lot of the first big broker deal that I signed in your story for WOW, Scott, as to where I kind of just sat in the room. I shot for enough of their agents. I sat with, the person in charge, and Rick and I didn't even know much about real estate at the time. And he was giving me all this stuff. And I would just ask questions like what you did. And he would say, this is good, or that's bad, or don't do this, or we're going to do photos and video on everything. And he basically drew out the plan for what our broker deal is now, because that's what's important to him. And so sitting with that original broker, you empowered him to have impact on something that he could create. And then you leverage that for the next brokers in that simple Loom video, which is so smart.
Yeah. It was, I love that it became their idea. Like, my heart really was asking for feedback, but all of a sudden it wasn't me pitching like, hey, I've got an idea for you. It was, give me some feedback. And they're like, all of a sudden, hey, it's their idea. They created it kind of. I do want to share, because you asked some like leading up questions. Let me talk about how I use Spiro here to make this actually work. We asked for a couple of things. So there's a list of kind of what we give, and we've talked about some of those things. There are some other things on that list, but we asked for an initial announcement to all agents, access to agent rosters, orientations, events in office mailboxes. We asked for exclusive photography promotion within their company, and asked for weekly or biweekly new hire lists of agents coming on to the team. And so that has been huge, because we ended up getting this roster. We upload it to Spiro. All of a sudden, 500 agents are automatically added. And so you're talking about removing friction. We've already created their account. I go to the office meeting and say, actually, here's the link, scan the QR code or whatever, just type in your phone number. And then all of a sudden they see like their name on the account. It's already done. And one thing that we did, maybe it was too much, is we put on a credit on everybody's account too. Now, that was a manual thing that we had our virtual assistant go through one after another, put that credit on there, so that when I made that introduction, not only do they see their account, they see money that's just sitting there that I'm saying for their next listing that they could use, or if they have an existing listing that needs a little refresh. I just want an opportunity to show them the quality of our service and our media. And this is my way to do it. We're going to knock down that door. So it was fun to be able to use Spiro to make this thing happen so quickly. And it sounds so good. Now we're getting emails from brokers that are saying, add Todd and Craig, but remove Jim because he left for another company. We have the up-to-date roster. Now we're not at a point that we're just cold emailing everybody, but it's there. And every time we get in front of them, they can see their account. So it's fun to be able to see how that all kind of came together with Spiro too.
Yeah, thank you for that, Scott. A quick question on that. And I don't know if this is happening or not, but it sounds like you might, if they're emailing you and letting you know when new agents come on, it sounds like they're selling you like as these agents come on. I think that can be incredibly powerful. Do you know if like you're in their new listing packet or SOP that they tell about when new agents come on?
Yeah, I love this. So we use that word to new agent orientation. And I love that because that's just like hitting a buzzword. So at the one setup we have, I do their headshots every Tuesday. So when they come in, new agents come in for their training, the first thing that they do is get a headshot. And so I get to meet them before they even start training. I get to do a quick introduction. Hey, we're partnered with your company. And because of that, you have some discounted services. They'll tell you more about it upstairs. They take the elevator up to do their training and their onboarding. And part of that is how to access our website, the value that's available to them. So they're hearing it from the company side. That's one example. And then the other one that we have set up, they do more of like an email onboarding. They have a system set up, new agent. And so like, it's going to send the first day email, what they should be doing. We're part of that sequence. So yeah, the messaging is coming from the broker to the new agents. And at first I was like, man, do new agents have listings? But I forgot to really kind of think about, there are new agents that have been realtors that are new to the company and they have listings. And so it is huge to be in there right away with them. And again, it's like the introduction is partner, not vendor.
Yes, and with that, so being a partner means that you have to give some, and you do, and you have the mechanisms of the headshot and the credit and some other things that you're doing pending the brokerage. Can you just, because I know there's some people saying, hey, I maybe don't have the time, or it's just me, or that would cost me money or time to give. Do you have some examples of how giving that has allowed you to get over the year that you've been doing this?
Oh, I mean, I think there's so many examples of just being able to lead with value and give. My whole business is built on that, on the IG method of offering a free shoot to get your foot in the door. And so like without it, we wouldn't have grown this fast. And so I think there's probably too many examples to share, but like, absolutely. Now, I do think if you're a solo photographer, you really have to think like, if somebody says yes to this, can you have the quality service that you need at a scale? And so for me, for a while, that answer was no, but I knew that I wanted to work towards it. And then as far as giving, I'm always going to leave in the camp of like, or be in the camp of, I'm going to give first, trusting that it will come back full circle of like, how would you say no to somebody that is available, provides good customer service, represents your team and homeowner well? We just need that opportunity. So we're going to give all the time. I actually have been doing a couple like Christmas party events. And for those, I mean, part of these broker deals, we offer to shoot like 4 events a year. It's just another way to be in front of people. And I'm wearing my name tag, and all of a sudden they're like, I know that name. I know Golmic. I know the real estateographers. Or I'm now meeting clients that I don't even know because they've shot with somebody else. I've never met them. So they're introducing themselves to me. But we're shooting that company event for free. So am I losing money? Potentially. But we're also just like so infiltrated that it's been really rewarding. I like the comment that Eli makes. Best known is better than best. And to me, doing some sort of deal like this, where it's the managers and brokers that are promoting you, that makes you best known within the company. You go to an event, best known. You're offering something for free. You're getting on the radar, best known. And so if you can kind of filter those decisions, is this going to help me grow? That's not an ego best known. It's a, do people know that your business exists question? Then yeah. So to answer your question, value all day. I'm always going to give and trust that it will come back.
Yeah, that's one phrase that we say around here at WOW is that we want agents to get a listing and think, wow. That like we want to be on their list of, I get a listing, I have to call WOW. So when you can get in, and when you think about it, y'all, if you start off, like if new agents or new to that company agents are starting off on their onboarding, getting a fabulous headshot from you, then going up and doing onboarding and seeing how they log in. Here's how you get their page. Here's some other things you get. Seeing you at company meetings, award banquets, Christmas parties. It just, I will echo what Scott said, that it will move your business the most. And it seems like it should not, because you have to give first and then you get, but it is incredible what it does when you do things not to receive, and agents see that. And remember, real estate agents are salespeople. They're going to see through any sales pitch. So when you break down those barriers and those walls, that's when they relax and they realize, human to human, like, hey, this person really wants the best for me, and they've got great services and great features, and they use you. So
can I share 2 numbers with you?
Yes, I'd love that. Thank you, Scott.
Okay. Just to show how it is working. We've been tracking market share, and I love that number. You taught me that, and we've broken it down by county. It's so much fun to look at. Our market share for a long time, our whole area is averaging around 3.5%. In September, it rose to 5%, October, 6%, November, 7.2%. Now that's our whole territory. One of our main counties, we were right around 5%. And in September, it was 8.7, then 9.9, and most recently 11%. As listings have gone down, our market share has gone up And so we're maintaining those number of shoots. Again, you taught me this. Like if I'm just looking at number of shoots, we're about the same, but the listings have come down. So like to know that number has been huge, and that matches up well with these kind of preferred partnerships. And the other number I wanted to share was just new clients. We've been averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 a month. 20 would be a really good month. Then in August 28, September 33, October 41, November 39, like there was a massive leap because of it. So it feels like it's been the right thing, but also it feels like these numbers help back it up that it has worked. And it's only one time that I'm going to be giving away these credits. And for the rest of the time, I mean, they'll be paying, and I'm excited to see how this continues to grow.
Yeah, those are incredible market share increases, Scott. And the market share, just real quick for everyone out there that's saying, hey, what is market share? Market share is the percentages of the listings of all new listings. How many of them do you shoot? And so it's the really big pie. And so it's tough to grow in market share, bigger numbers. Like we're happy when we move it a half a point. But those are incredible numbers. I think it's, again, just that top-down selling that you have these, and we work on this with students in Orbit. We talk about like their sales engine. You have to have enough parts of your sales engine running. Instagram method, your broker deals, your outreaches, all of those things go into your sales funnel and allow you to grow like that. So Scott, as you grow, and it's so great to hear your journey, I get this question asked a lot from students of like, I'm not shooting now. Like, what do I do now? Like, what have you found yourself? Like, what does your day-to-day look like? Maybe if you could share some insight on what are you focused on now and how are you using your time?
Yeah. I think it's fun just in the last, I don't know, month and a half since rep, there has been like one big thing per week that I feel like we're knocking down. So without shooting, it was kind of some admin, building out our VA team, and making sure our systems are good. So that's kind of where I've been for a while. But then since rep, we did some sort of like Black Friday prepay and save deal. That was done. But that was like a cool 1 week thing. After that, we haven't had a ton of team meetings, but you hear at rep how important it is. So then we had a team meeting and training. It was a 5-hour training, and it went like this. And it was so cool I think sometimes I think meetings are a waste of time, and I've overlooked the importance of how they can help build culture. And so that was 1 week of like, just making sure that went well. And it was so cool to see the team come together and just realize like they're laughing at the table together, and they would not have known each other without our business. How cool was that? It was a cool moment. Right now, we're taking a step into some premium videos for the first time. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. That's probably our like this week task. And then something for the very near future is I think we're getting to a spot in our business, and I'm ready to hire some sort of admin where they can take all of the calls. Right now, we have our VAs doing responses in text messages and emails, and it has been sufficient. It helped bridge that gap until we could grow our revenue to the right spot. But I'm the one that's picking up the phone. And it's not like our phones are getting flooded every day, but it's enough that like it knocks you out of a flow state of doing whatever, and so to have somebody on there, that's our next big thing. And I'm excited for that step.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that again, it just goes back to focus, flow state. Like when you're in something, you're planning your company training and get together. Like for someone to call and say, hey, can you switch my appointment on Tuesday? It does so much to your brain that it throws you off. And then you see that your efficiency goes way down. And then, so being able to focus on that and then bring someone else onto your team at an admin level, which is, is phenomenal. So that's exciting. Scott, as I think back about the conference, it was such a fabulous time. You were given an award on stage, Scott, and I think this continues to show your ability just to pivot and be ahead of the curve. Scott, you actually were the first company in the world to use auto HDR on all of your listings. like you ripped off the Band-Aid, you went for it when we all were thinking like, oh, let me look at the tones, let me look at the clouds. Like you just did it. You were the first. You're still using it full stream. We get a lot of questions on this, but can you let us know what your flow looks like? How's the feedback been from going to Auto HDR fully?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I show you this?
Yes, there it is.
Can you believe there's a trophy that exists for this? I brought her home. My wife was just laughing. She's like, man, it's unbelievable that there's a trophy for AI editing. How funny. But that was so cool and unexpected. Man, this goes back to Rep 2024. Todd, we got a chance to meet Matt. And before Rep, this was after PMRE, like just walk around Vegas and there was just a small group of us. And we got to talk to Matt, and at that point, he was just like trialing something. He's like, I want to build an AI editor. And at that point, we had connected on Instagram. I'd never met him in person, and he was just using some of I gave him access to our Dropbox. Like, here's some files that you can mess around with. And it started in November, and then it kind of like January, February, all of a sudden, it's like, all right, well, how's it going? He's like, we're still building it. I said, would you make the move yet? He's like, I'm not sure. It's not quite there yet. And he's like, give us 2 weeks. And I said, all right, let's do it 2 weeks. And then I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't want to wait 2 weeks. I said, let's do it on Monday. And then he's like, okay, let's do it on Monday. And I said, let's just do it tomorrow. And so we just ripped the Band-Aid off and went for it. And part of it for me, just to explain, I was comfortable with Auto HDR, but I was more comfortable with Matt. I have never met somebody so excited to get negative feedback, to grow a product. And he was just all ears, wanting to make that program better. And I just felt like it's not going to fail with Matt behind the ship, steering the ship. And so anyway, we jumped onto Auto HDR. I think for the first while, it probably got us 90% there, but we had an awesome like QCVA team that was finalizing that last 10%, making sure everything was looking good. But there have been models that have come out. I might be wrong, but I think we're on like version 3 at this point. And all of a sudden, instead of getting us to 90%, we might be at like 99%, like good deliverable stuff. Our QCVAs are doing so much less right now that it's been incredible. And I just asked them, like, what's your take? Asking our team, and they're like, it's really good. And so I'm just thrilled with Matt and what Auto HDR has done. I mean, they've completely disrupted an industry in just about a year. It's just absolutely wild what has transpired. But that's been our workflow. One thing that we did was we hired a VA for the evening shift just to make sure that photographers have uploaded everything and it starts processing through Auto HDR through the Spiro Dropbox integration. That VA is then looking at all of the photos to make sure that they're good to go to set up our morning delivery guy. So we should never have a fire in the morning anymore that says, we don't have the floor plan or these photos don't look right. Like everything has been seen that night, communicated to our editors, and that has given us a lot of peace. So that we can wake up and know that delivery is not going to be a super stressful time. And that has helped with our process. Our VAs are former photo editors for real estate, and it's just fantastic. And so what they see is more than I would ever see. And I know that our photos are looking really good.
Yeah, I love that you pieced all that together and brought on former photo editors. We did a podcast on this almost a little less than a year ago about the impact of AI on our photo editors as a community. And I think if you can look to rehire and bring them on as quality control individuals, if you just think about that, I mean, think about if your job is every day that you get up and you take 5 raw images or 3, and you're stacking them in Photoshop, and you're coloring in, coloring out, tracing, desaturating, contrast and all this and that. And your job has turned into, you are looking over images and every once in a while make an adjustment. Like, I don't know about you all, but that seems like a job upgrade for me. I realize there's, we cut some humans out of a process. But I think as we look and we get further into AI and what this does, I know the editors, we did the same thing. We brought editors back in that used to edit for us. And I just think that that's a win-win for everyone. We went to Auto HDR after you, Scott, kind of in the same way where we had an editing team go down and I was like, okay, we're doing it tomorrow. Jess switched it over in Spiro and everything went the next day to Auto HDR. And we've we've sent, I think, about 750,000 images to them so far. And we have some of our agents email us very early on and we're thanking us for upgrading them to our Lux Edit. At WOW, we used to do a standard and a Lux Edit. Don't do it anymore. But we had agents and Auto HDR, the way Matt designed it, and it comes out, is what our Lux used to be. And so our agents like, hey, thank you for upgrading me for no cost to Lux. It blew my mind that agents emailed us and had that. So if you are on the fence, I just really think that you should give it another. If you haven't looked at it for a while, I think you should pull the trigger. Scott, what would you say about someone that's like, should I go to AI at Auto HDR?
I think that it's not a matter of if you will, it's just a matter of when. I mean, time will eventually come that you'll make the switch to AI editing. So I would just encourage you to give it another shot now. The models are really nice, particularly if you have that QCVA kind of looking at everything, your quality is going to be good. I share this with you. We shot a $14 million oceanfront listing that was the actual residence of one of the top interior designers in all of Northeast Florida. So if there was anyone that you want to be very particular about, we sent it to Auto HDR. It came back and everybody loved the photos. The agent, the super picky homeowner, everybody. I didn't even look at them before they were delivered. Our QCVA did. They sent them off. I get a text. Everybody loves it. What else could you ask for? I mean, that would be the scenario that maybe that 1% somebody has something to say and they love the photos. So I think it's definitely worth giving it a shot. And Matt, their team is just constantly building and making it better. And so like, I've heard him say this, and I like the line, Auto HDR is the worst it will ever be today because it's just going to continue to get better. It's AI. It's not going to have human fatigue. It's just going to keep getting better. And so absolutely, I would go ahead and give that a shot with Auto HDR.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, he's a member of the community. He has a real estate media company, a high-end company on the East Coast. He is always giving back. He's grown. It's fun to see the team grow. I got to meet Dan and Paul and the team, and they're a blast. And he created a fabulous presentation about how to use AI to automate your business. And if you haven't seen it, please go to autohdr.com and ask them. It might be posted on their Facebook, but he did a booklet, and I know there's a digital version that if you haven't seen it, you need to see it because that's him giving back to the community. Really great things in there. We're doing many of them at WOW. So check that out, autohdr.com.
That's just another example of leading with value, how he's doing that. And I mean, that booklet was insane. And so, yeah, I'd get your hands on that and at no cost kind of thing. That was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Scott, other key takeaways from the conference. It was such a great time. What else? What other key takeaways?
I think at the conference, speakers, there's always so much to learn, but it's the in-between, it's the lunches, the breakfast, the dinners. It's so much fun. And I just feel like there were so many good takeaways. I have a booklet and what has made it to the priority list just based on rep. But I have to tell you that your presentation about a fly hitting a wall, I felt like you could hear a pin drop in the room. I mean, you get 400 people, they were hanging on your every word, and it was so relatable. So I just want you to know, thank you for being so transparent, because I think that a lot of people in the community were celebrating wins all the time. And so you might start to feel like, I don't know if I want to share that I'm not winning because everyone else is winning. What's wrong with me? And there's this internal thing. And I feel like you walked up on stage and said, here it is. Here is my hardest time, my darkest moments or whatever. And it was just so relatable. So if nobody else in the room, and I doubt that this would ever happen, wasn't impacted, please know I felt like that was speaking to me, personally. I needed that. When the videos were released, my wife and I told her we have to watch this together. We watched the whole speech together. And so thank you for sharing that. The concept for anyone that wasn't there was a fly trying to get outside is going to hit the window for a long time and eventually die. What it doesn't realize is it could just turn 10 feet this way and the window's open. It could have lived if it goes this way. So where in your business are you the fly going against the wall? And so anyway, that was just good, perspective for me to have, to hear about come on, to hear that what this decision lost you $250,000, right? Something like that, $250,000. And then how you present this to your wife, how your wife responds with just love is incredible. And we might have to sell the house. And she says, that's okay. Like, what a response there. And then your team says, we have, this is actually great. Let me tell you why. And they pivot immediately to find the good. It's just like, it was such a good story. If anyone hasn't heard it, I hope that it becomes available to the public if it's not already. That was the most impactful speech for me at Vegas. And I just want to say thank you for being transparent, getting up there, because that's got to be a hard thing to do, to say, hey, everyone, look at me and the mistake I made. So thanks, Todd.
Oh, well, it's really all my pleasure. And it's such a humbling place to be in. It's for me, like it's crazy to be in a room and people know your name and I haven't met them. And I'm just a small town guy from the middle of the cornfield. And I have this pull towards like individuals and the impact that media and social media has on us all. And I'm just honored to share it. I've had some tough times. I told my wife we might have to sell the house. And for any husband, for any male, I know you can relate with me. Like, I really thought it was going to be so bad that we were going to sell the house. Like, we packed food in a cooler when we went to basketball games because I didn't want to spend the money to eat out. That's real life, everyone. And that is, but from that pain, from doing hard, we had to do hard in that year. Good can come from it. So I know Christmas time, and this is such a fitting time of the year to be talking about this. I know these times can be hard for many individuals. There's probably family that's not with you anymore. Things have probably happened that you might regret. People might have hurt you, and that's okay. That you accept that and then let it go and move on from that. And I know this can be hard times of the year. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's always there. And I believe firmly that if you do hard, you'll get to easy. So it was like I said, my honor to share, Scott. I still get emotional from it because those were hard times. They still impact me today. I still think about those times. So I'm glad that it was impactful.
Just a spoiler for anyone that's watching online, the chart for revenue at WOW was like this, it dipped, and this is like the scary spot. And then, spoiler alert, it goes like this. And it was just, such a redeeming story. And we could do a whole podcast on all the mistakes that I've made and challenges along the way too, and tough conversations with my wife. And so anyway, thank you for being willing to talk in front of 400 people in Las Vegas about that.
Yeah, all my pleasure. Scott, thank you so much for coming on with us today. If listeners want to check out, follow you, how can they, see what you're doing, get in contact with you?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing is you can follow me on Instagram. Feel free to shoot me a message. So it's at Scott Golmic or at The Real Estateographers. And that's on Instagram as well. Feel free to shoot me a message. Would love to connect with you. It is insane just like how supportive the community is. So feel free. Please message me. I've messaged so many people and everyone's somehow just like always ready to help. It's a really outstanding community that's been built. So yeah, I would love to connect with you.
Well, thank you for that, Scott. Merry Christmas to you, to our listeners.
Likewise.
Hopefully you'll come on again soon and we'll continue the conversation.
Only if Craig wears the shirt again.
Yeah, the shirt, and I think we're going to make him get the face tattoo. Okay. So we'll see.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Scott.
See ya.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Hey, have a Merry Christmas. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for all you do. If you need to get in contact with us, hello@spiro.media. We are here for you. If you have an idea of a podcast topic that you'd like us to talk about or learn about, let us know. And please feel free to comment in the notes below or leave a note in the comments below, and please Be thankful for the blessings that you have been given, and remember to take a breath. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.